We're all gearing up for the second Avatar movie, and it's such a surreal experience because of how long it's been since the first one. But it's finally happening and will hit theaters by December 16th. A lot will be different since it's set 10 years after the original, which includes Sigourney Weaver's role. Psst, she's not Dr. Grace in this one. In the video, we'll be telling you about how it dodges a sequel problem. First off, the Na'vi teenager she's playing. We all know and love her as Dr. Grace Augustine from the first segment. Who doesn't love a xenobotanist who helps create peace with alien species instead of colonizing them? Not to mention, she's one of the biggest name actors in the cast. Obviously, you can't ignore her role. Now, we all know that she died at the hands of Quaritch, so really, you'd think there wouldn't be any chance we'd see her as she was in the sequel. Be that as it may, James Cameron, of course, brought her on again as she's playing a wildly different role. Instead of playing the humane scientist, the 73-year-old actress is playing a Na'vi teenage girl named Kiri. Jake and Neytiri adopted her, and she's shown in all her adolescent youth and sparkle in the teaser pics and promos. You really wouldn't believe it's Sigourney playing her. The fact that the same actress is playing a different character just proves, if anything, that Dr. Grace is dead for sure. According to Screen Rant, this also makes the possibility of main roles staying dead very real now. You can then begin to question if Jake or Neytiri might meet the same fate. We know it's a sad thought, but there's so much tension and anticipation of will they, won't they? That's what keeps an audience on their toes, folks. And it's a pretty smart move on the writer's part. Up next, the mistake they avoided. Think about all the series you've watched where the characters die and then come back to life. Depending on how they handle it, it's a slippery slope. Even when they die and return, it can become repetitive, right? Once you do that, it also makes death seem meaningless as a theme, which of course it shouldn't be. A mark of good storytelling is to be smart about what situations you place your characters in. With the way Cameron has tackled Weaver's return, he's avoided the big mistake of lazy writing. Now, we can only judge the writing once we see the actual movie, you know? Be that as it may, it's still really refreshing to see how the team is changing or developing the story. Keep in mind, they're doing the insanely tough task of making a sequel to the biggest blockbuster of all time. So it's like, how do you top that? Yep, there's a ton of pressure, but it has only helped the producers. Well, it seems like it so far. The thing is, they've already resurrected Quaritch as a villain. This time, he's in a Na'vi body. His soul was probably transferred into one since that's the only explanation that fits the franchise's lore. So now that we have the bigger, badder, and bluer mortal enemy back in the game, it's best to keep the focus on him. They really knew where to draw the line so that the plot lines wouldn't be redundant, and it's a very intelligent move. This way, Cameron dodged the bullet of losing everyone's interest. Also remember, there are more sequels coming up. They're only just getting started. And now, how her role can beat the first movie. Fan theories are what keep a fandom alive, y'all. How can you not rack your brain when you've got this amazingly complex sci-fi world at your fingertips? It's the biggest indicator that your movie or TV show is resonating with viewers. Chef's kiss. Screen Rant feels that while Sigourney's role was really important to the first Avatar, it kind of felt like she was there just because they needed a known name to the cast. Obviously, we don't think the cast is low-key anymore, but believe it or not, back in 2009, they were. When you're playing an alien teenager who is decades younger than you can expect way more action. Not gonna lie, it's gonna be really cool to see how she steps into this youthful aura and makes it her own. The actress herself has said this gig was the most different from anything she's done before. That's right, folks. In an interview, she said that she had to try out a different method of acting to get Kiri's mannerisms and body language right. After all, she is just a teen, and you know how they act. Across species, you can recognize the pains and pangs of adolescence. It's an awkward time, and Sigourney said that she took inspo from her own 12-year-old self for this. It sounds like a really heartfelt performance. This type of added spice is just the fresh take any movie needs, honestly. We're all for it. Coming up, everything else we know about Sigourney's new role. Well, it's established that we're seeing her newer, younger, and bluer than ever before. Let's not forget her roots. Some fans are speculating that Dr. Grace is actually reincarnated as Kiri because of a teaser pic where we see her look at an old recording of the Doctor on a screen. Her eyes are big and bright, and to some people, there's a spark of recognition in there. Oh well, who's to say for sure? What we do know is that the star has talked about her process in interviews. Granted, she tries to disclose as little as possible about the movie, but she did mention that she actually learned parkour for her role. You heard us, folks. Since she's older than the cast and is playing a teen, she had to do a lot of physical training. She recalled it really fondly, actually, saying that she loves to do outlandish things in the name of training. Those kind of things to her stick with you for life. She's spitting facts because if you're doing crazy things you've never done before, you'll obviously remember them for a lifetime. It's all part of the experience. And now for more Avatar news you might have missed out on. Firstly, James Cameron thinks the sequel was too late. It's a little surprising to hear this from the director himself, but he fully recognizes the time gap between the two movies. According to him, the pop culture landscape was really different back in 2009, and when you try to continue a movie 10 plus years after its release, of course, you're gonna face some setbacks. Think about it. Now in 2022, we're in the age of streaming. It's changed the way we watch movies and TV hugely. Back then, it was all about the cinema and DVDs. Those things still exist and are important, yes, but the access we have to media has changed. Talking to New York Magazine, he said that this time difference worries him. He was concerned he stretched the tether too far for this modern, fast-paced world. To be honest, it's understandable, but once the trailer reached around 148 million views, he was a little relaxed. He had an explanation for that too, saying that it did so well because of how long it's been, and that people have been wondering. Both things are really true, actually. No matter what, we can also expect some kick-ass visuals and storytelling because they had so long to make this film. Up next, Avatar 4 has already started production. Whoa, it's speeding up around here. Recently at D23 Expo, the director James Cameron broke the news through his little Zoom screen that they've started working on the 4th segment already. He was pretty stoked to break the news. Between the hype of The Way of Water releasing soon, we're sure he was dying to tell his fans about all the cool stuff he has in store. On top of that, he revealed that the post-production process for Avatar 2 is now also underway, and it's going pretty well. We can't wait to be slayed by the movie once it comes out in December. For our viewing pleasure, they also released a few clips at D23 where we can see the Na'vi and the main characters in different scenarios. Truly a treat for fans everywhere. We deserve it, actually. We waited more than 10 years. Lastly, a clip from D23 of Jake and Neytiri. One of these clips has got everyone talking. For starters, it shows the Sully family swimming in the oceans of Pandora, and then it escalates into them fighting against human soldiers. Well, it looked like they were being hunted, actually. They seemed to be after the Na'vi kids, and Neytiri fiercely protected them by throwing 2 arrows at them. It turned into a firefight mockery, where they called her Miss Sully and left. It was equally tense and a little funny, which we really missed seeing. There seems to be a lot of focus on the natives of Pandora realizing how complicated the wildlife on their planet is. The beginning of the clip shows the fam watching an old recording of Dr. Grace explaining the biosystem of their world and how it seems to have a mind of its own. We can guess from this that there's going to be a lot of action between the humans and Na'vi for control over their home. Well, that's all for this video, folks. What are your thoughts on how Cameron handled Sigourney Weaver's role in Avatar 2? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this, and we'll see you in the next video.